catch-up time.
It's not possible. I blame Dave. Very slow today. I didn't give you much time today,
I would take
David.
this off, guys, because it looks pretty bad.
Because the race was very slow.
Take it off, take it off.
It is off.
Why is it on?
What's all these lines got? Put 1902 on there. Can you do that? So I mustn't touch anything here. Everything stops if I do.
Don't touch anything.
Is this your paper?
Nope.
Mine. It's yesterday. It must be our friend from Holland. Mr. Kun.
Can you put this on? Take this off, please. Can you put something else on?
Yes, he punches the sky. 10 for me. Nothing for you. We rely, as always, on memory.
You're online.
Are we online?
Yes, we are.
We're online. Too late to go.
Let's go.
Too late to go to the toilet.
A little bit.
Oh,
Come on, boys.
half a minute.
We have an hour and a half car ride.
We do. We should do it in an hour.
We don't have the crazy drive.
Oh, but it was an hour and a half coming, you know, all that traffic.
Yeah.
So hopefully. But I've eaten now, so it doesn't matter. But who cares? Who cares? Okay. What is this? Stage 2? Of course.
You want some paper?
try and protect the small lead he has over the rest of the race. One extra competitor on the start line today, making 154 riders in all, but the Panda would have a problem keeping up. Michael Matthews signing in, narrowly beaten yesterday, will try to go again. And Torhushoff deciding to try and persuade the Panda to take the start, but without avail. This is the route the riders face, as it makes up the longest stage of 201 kilometres, starting in a northerly direction away from Poirot, and then turning east. This is where the hills are in the section as we go east, and then we turn south and back west towards the Finnish town of Yanqing. So this is just a little hors d'oeuvre, if you like, of the mountains which are to come in this year's Tour of Beijing. It's the hilliest of the 3 editions so far as we get ready to go. Gentle rollout as we leave Poirot. The blue cross on the jersey there, the Finnish champion, Jussi Väikönen. Although a little bit chilly for the spectators, it is in fact a perfect day for long distance cycle racing today. Temperatures at about 15 degrees as they leave town. A high expected of about 17. Straight after the start, what we always refer to as the early morning breakaway. This race starting just before midday today, so it was an early morning breakaway. 5 riders establishing a lead straight away after a few kilometres and gambling on a very, very long ride to the finish. But experience in this team, in this breakaway. Thomas de Gent of the Vacances Soleil team coming through to the front here. 3rd in last year's Grand Tour, the Giro d'Italia, and the winner of the very steep mountain of the Stelvio Pass on stage 20. The white jersey here of Maxime Bouet, Frenchman from Marseille in the breakaway, and 5 times rider in the Tour de France. And the rest of the breakaway, Massimo Graziato from Lampre, Olivier Kazan from Lotto Belisol, and Chad from the United States. All of little concern at the moment to Torhushoff, who's resting in the main field and was happy to see his teammates do the work. And as the riders made the progress up into the northerly direction, the stunning sight of part of this massive Great Wall of China, which spans some 5,000 kilometres across this great nation. Badaling is one of the main entry points for the tourists on the Great Wall, and one of the most popular tourist attractions in China as well. About an hour's drive north of the Beijing capital itself. But today the riders in a hurry on very, very good roads, quickly gaining over 4 minutes on the field. All of the riders doing a turn at the front, sharing the pace, nobody missing out, and paying dividends as well as they continued along the way. The peloton for the moment being the longest stage, not too concerned about a 4-minute time gap, but they were monitoring it pretty closely. Look down from the helicopter, main field now being strung out. A lot of the work being done by Team BMC with a little bit of help from the sprinters teams. All hope not given up that the race would come together before the finish, even though they do have a number of climbs on the course today. 3 second category, 1 third category. And Thomas de Gent already in action in that breakaway, cleaning up on the early points in the mountains. His target on this day would be a lead in the King of the Mountains competition. Just a little bit of help coming the way of the riders in red and black, the team of Torhushoff, and a little bit of help coming in the form of the rider from the Argus Shimano team, Yan Dongjing. There he is, one of 2 Chinese riders who race on the Dutch Argus Shimano squad, taking the chance to lead the way through the hills of his own country. A little peek over the dam up here in the mountains, which is holding back millions of gallons of water that feed the centres of Beijing, as the riders go right over the head of the dam here. And the breakaway now holding on to a lead just inside 4 minutes, so They look rather lonely sight down there. And if you pan right to the far right, and if you can follow around the rim of the lake here, you might just catch a glimpse of the peloton. Well, the peloton, a little bit of change of guard at the front now. Maybe a little bit of help coming for Team BMC. They've done a good job all day so far, while all of the prizes along the road are being shared out by the 5 riders up front. Thomas de Gent consistently beating Chad Bayer over the mountains and building a points lead in that competition. It's been Maxime Bouet who has been picking up the 3-second time bonuses at the sprint points. Tor Hushoff taking much closer alignment at the front here than he did yesterday. He really did only appear in the last 10 metres of the stage with a perfectly timed sprint to grab the win, his 9th of the season. But he knows the combination now has to be exactly right to keep on with that leader's red jersey for tomorrow, which is a very difficult stage with 8 climbs along the route tomorrow. 8-man team, Team BMC. Not all of the riders have arrived here with their full squad of 8 allowed entries. Some have come with only 6 and 7, but BMC have all 8 riders. And if you look closely at the head of the peloton here, you're going to see pretty much all 8 riders at the sharp end of the field, which includes Hushoff himself, but he's riding wisely at the tail end of his teammates. Now, Massimo Graziato is in trouble. This is the first time we've seen a rider in trouble. This is the steep second category climb here, which brings the riders to the top of 150 kilometers covered, leaving just 50 to go. And it looks as though those legs are telling now after such a long time in the saddle out front. It looks as though the other 3 riders here are also 4 riders rather, are being put under pressure. Now I don't know what Thomas de Gent is doing at the back here. He was with Chad Bayer. He's marking by the American, who sprinted back up to the 2 leaders, which means that the plan might have backfired with Thomas de Gent here. He was trying to ease Bayer off the back of the lead group. He's now got to get himself back up to the lead group, because these 2 riders are fighting it out. The one who is ahead of the other up this climb, provided they are in the first 2 riders over the top, will be the leader in the King of the Mountains and will wear the polka dot red jersey tomorrow. Bayer's come back, so too has de Gent. Maxime Bouet setting the pressure at the front. A rider from Marseille, who in this year's Tour de France, his 5th attempt at the race, was the race finished stage number 5 in Marseille, and Bouet crashed 50 metres from the finishing line and broke his wrist, and it was right in front of his family as well. So the great homecoming he had planned on became somewhat permanent, because he never moved on with the Tour next day, having left that night for hospital. So that brought an abrupt end to his first Tour de France, that he hasn't finished, because the other 4 he's always reached Paris, and now he's really turning on the pain here. He's trying to get rid of Chad Bayer as well, going back up to the leaders. And this time he's pushing on alone. Now, is there going to be a reaction? Now, this is a good news for Thomas de Gent. Whether he can or whether he can't is another question, but the fact is he's quite happy if Bouet goes clear, simply because he'll take the 8 points at the top, and that will stop the American getting the points that could give him the overall lead in the King of the Mountains. So there'll be no reaction here from Thomas de Gent. All this being reenacted about 3.5 minutes ahead of the main field, who are still on the flatter roads approaching the climb. Another example of a fine piece of road building, this, and brilliant surface for the riders, who have kept very fast tempo up here. A cheeky move this by Bouet. He's won both the sprints along the route today, taking the 3-second time bonuses, so he's got 6 seconds in the bank. And even if he's picked up by the peloton today, he has a chance of a high podium position overall by the end of the night. Being joined now by Olivier Kaizen, Belgian rider. Won 2 races in his professional career for Lotto Belisol. young, strong time trialist, especially in his younger days in the under 23 category. He was the champion of Belgium. And this time, these two are faintly out on the way on the lower slopes, but it does look to me as though they are both actually quite tired here. Chad Byers is leaving Thomas de Gent to make the pace. De Gent will not want to catch those two before the top because that stops Byer from getting the points. Byers realised this, and a savage effort to try and catch up with them. Byer must finish first or second and be ahead of Thomas de Gent if he's to be the leader tonight. De Gent knows it. But you know, the look down, the out of the saddle, the look down by Chad Byer, to me, this is a rider who's not going to cross this gap. Such a short gap it is too, but I think the limit of their ability after a long way up in front, 140 kilometres they've been in the lead. Did a good job nonetheless, and watching his every move is Thomas de Gent. Still a chance he might get up there. One just feels as though the legs just went. He sat back in the saddle and he visibly slowed down. Again, won't help him. He wants him to stay exactly where he is. Big man to be a good climber. This is quite a steep gradient and they're climbing it very, very quickly indeed. And in quite high gears, steady slopes. It does hairpin on the way down quite abruptly. Look at the gap behind now. That was it. That was the cracking point when the elastic snapped. And Chad Byer and De Gent are now left to finish third and fourth on the climb. That will make De Gent the first King of the Mountains at the end of the day. Now there's a demonstration of team racing for you. All of Team BMC on the front, and the last man in the slightly different red jersey is Thor Hushoff, the God of Thunder, with his team looking after him. Not too far from the summit, there's the finishing line just there now. It looks as though it doesn't really matter which order they go over, it won't affect the overall situation in the mountains. Kaizen goes over first, Louis second. Drive on here. A little word coming across there from Rouet. I should imagine Olivier Kaiser speaks French as well as Flemish, and just said let's go. 49 kilometres from the finish here. It's a long way to go. There's no more hills now. We steadily go down to not quite sea level, but it's steady downhill into the plains below. This is at Lu Biao. He's at the wrong end of the race here right now. Being stretched to the full on the champion system team. Now BMC have brought a very good team here, and with Matthias Frank also on the team, he is a rider quite capable of winning this race with the hills which lie ahead. So they'll be resting him as best they can in the pack. Steve Cummings doing a lot of work at the front for the team. This sort of team riding will give Hushoff a great deal of confidence in the squad, knowing that they're doing it for him. Steve Cummings, silver medalist in the Olympic Games back in Athens in 2004, bringing the whole peloton, which has not split up on this climb. One or two riders been reported in difficulty, but basically they've ridden up here at a very steady and very quick pace indeed. Cummings comes over the top, puts him fifth in the mountains competition there, so he gets a point. Have a look where they are here. The red spot is the peloton, the green spot is the two leaders. Remember, we have two others in between. Here they are. These are the two front men, Kaiser and Rouet. Rouet coming from originally in his amateur days, La Pomme Marseille, which is the top club in France these days. This nursery school of bike riders through, locates them mostly in French professional teams and puts them in the Tour de France, and they've got a good record for that. Some 25 riders emerging from that club to ride in the Tour de France. Hence the big disappointment when the Tour de France went to Marseille this year and Bouet crashed on the line. Well, although the mist is beginning to form over the finishing line, the riders out there in the mountains are still in good visibility, and that is good news on this descent. Also good news, there's no rain out there today, no dampness from the mist. Chance for a nice long twisting descent here. Still hanging on to just on 3 minutes, those two leaders. But the two riders in between are losing a bit of ground on the two front men. Starting descent here, and Maxime Bouet through on the inside and pushing on. I think his first objective will be to try and stay clear till the last sprint of the day at Hanhao Zhang. Because there's another 3-second time bonus there. If you run that, that will give him 9 seconds for the day. Of course, it's all meaningless unless he can hang on ready to be caught by the peloton where that 9 seconds will become useful. Now, I guess that's the equivalent of the English expression, suck it and see, whether the gamble is going to pay off or not. Sadly, a kilometre, which is indicating the sprint. Strong ally here as the peloton still skim away down from the top of the last climb of the day. You can see the plain that we're now riding into. No help coming the way yet of Team BMC. The sprinters teams will want to see just how this pans out. There's still plenty of time on their side. So let's see if these two riders plus the two in between are picked up. Then I think we'll see a change of attitude at the front. It's every bit as likely today with the riders spread by a blanket of 10 seconds after yesterday's race and a 10-second win bonus. There could be a change of leader simply on the result. A bit of a problem here for yesterday's leader in the King of the Mountains. Slipped off the back of the field here and then come over that mountain. He's driving back to his team car. He doesn't look as though he wants a drink or he's in any trouble. Don't forget, he was in the lead almost the whole race yesterday and caught 5 kilometres out, Cordial. And his teammate seems to be trying to do the same thing with Olivier Kaizen, because he's up there in the front now with Maxime Bouet. The white jersey, all smiles just now, under no pressure at all. Rui Costa of Portugal, very proud of his new World Championship road jersey, which he won just 2 weeks ago in Florence. And under no pressure today, just conserve time is all he's thinking of. I must say, it must be a good tale he's hearing there, because he's continuing to smile alongside his teammate. The team which he leaves at the end of the year. Well, there's the polka dot jersey now. He's found his team car. He's loading up with food. Well, he's planning on a longer day than everybody else out there. He's got plenty of bottles of water there too, so he's in the King of the Mountains leader to the water carrier now, because he's losing that title today for sure. Takes the water back. Now he's got to look for his Lotto teammates. Well, there's one short because he's up front, Kaizen. And it looks to me now, when they were picking up those riders up front, that they've all declared a timeout here, and so we can expect the lead to start to move up again. It's just on 2 minutes. These are the two men. They're just over a minute ahead of Thomas de Gent and Chad Baer, and a minute behind those two is the peloton itself. You might see them on this pan. It's got to be a minute down the road. And there's still quite a bit of empty road there. As you can see now, we're certainly nowhere near sea level, but we now are on flat territory. The high spot today was that climb, and it took us just on 850 meters above sea level. We'll finish it just over 400 today, and we've descended the difference off that mountain. Picking up the two loners down there. They're the chasers. The Kent doing a lot of the work, Chad Bayer. So they certainly are a good minute behind the two frontmen now. They never made any return after they cracked on the climb. And really, they shouldn't be putting too much effort into this, and it doesn't look as though De Gent is, because they know the peloton is bringing them back. It's been a good day so far for Thor Hushovd in his leader's red jersey. Third stage race this year in which he's worn the race leader's jersey. He was lucky in one of them. He won the stage race. It was the brand new Arctic Tour in Norway, and that was a great win for Thor Hushovd, being a Norwegian champion. Matti Breschel just behind him. This is the sprint, and it looks again as though Maxime Bouet is going to make a perfect hand here, because this is his third out of third sprint victories today. No challenge coming from Kaizen, and for that he's thanking him. He's got 9 seconds now. Kaizen will finish the day with 3 seconds in bonuses. But you know, if this is a plan, and it appears to be a plan by Team AG2 A La Mondiale, because wherever this team races around the world, they always manage to win something. And today they're moving Bouet up the overall classification. His next objective now, if he doesn't get caught, would be to win the stage. But that's going to be a big ask. And more likely to be more concerned about hanging on to the peloton when they pick him up. There's still lots of time to pick him up. And the gap again now, it did go up to 2:15 after that little go slow, but it's coming down once more, just on 2 minutes. I think the two others are still ahead of the field. No, they're not, because we're seeing the field come through here. And it's still a big peloton as well. A little bit surprised that the speed didn't deter some of the riders on the climb up, that last big climb of the day. But it means the sprinters who didn't get left behind are going to start thinking they might have a chance today once they bring these two back, if they do. Yesterday we made the 5 kilometers out sign. Team management here, I can't hear what he's saying, but advising on what to do here. And you know, I think you might be telling him, look, you're not going to make it, there's too far still to go, you've got all your time bonuses, wait for the race. Because Kaizen seems to have picked up on that. Okay, what's happening? All waiting for advice. And look at this, it's all yours. And that's amazing, but I think it's a good decision, and quite honestly, I think if I'd have been Olivier Kaizen, I'd gone with him, but looks as though Kaizen is going on alone. And Maxime Bouet is now going to wait for the race here. As he moves clear on his own. Well, I think that's a very, very intelligent decision, that, whether it's Maxime's or whether it's the team management. 9 seconds in the bank, the race is finally poised, a matter of seconds crossing the whole field. 10 seconds behind overnight, pull back 9 in bonuses. His object now will be to get caught and to finish in the pack when you'll all be given the same time, and he could be in a podium position by the end of the day, providing he's not too tired from the long attack. One man remains up the road. As we're looking here still at the responsibility being taken by the leading team in the race, which is BMC, or at least the team with the leading rider in the race on it. And they know that really if they're going to retain red because of the way it is being scored here at the moment in 2 days, and they've done a lot of kilometers by the end of this day, almost 400 kilometers covered already in 2 days in what is a 5-day 835 kilometer race. They know that really Tor Hushovd has got to be in for the sprint. And that's what might work against him. Now 2:17 is moved out again. And we saw this yesterday when they were chasing, in fact, Kaisen's teammate, Cordell. Well, he's no choice now. He rather involuntarily moved up into the lead, and now he's going to have to get on with it here, Olivier Kaisen. And these long straight roads are not conducive. 2:15 that board is saying. It's about right. The same board, by the way, they wait for the main field and they show it to them as well, so there's no favoritism for the leader. That's the result of that sprint. So Bayer and De Gent just stayed away long enough to snick the points for third and fourth. Bayer would have got a 1 second bonus and 2 green jersey points, and De Gent gets no bonus and 1 green jersey point. But significantly, Maxime Bouet, all 9 seconds, all 3 second bonus wins to him today. Now moving towards the far side before we swing south to Jiangqing, and just looking at that. The blue spot is the peloton, the red spot, they haven't picked up those 2 chasers, and the green spot are the 2 leaders. Well, they have now, because that is Maxime Bouet. We saw sit up from the leader. They had picked up the 2 chasers. It's Bouet, which was the other spot, and he's now back in the field. So only 1 man out front. Very clever piece of riding today by Maxime Bouet. Clearly had a plan, or the team did at the start of the day, and so far it's worked out perfectly. Marco Panotti, time trial champion of Italy. Hello, smile from Bouet. And goodness knows what he said to Marco Pantoli, almost there, Marco Panotti. And he's gone back into the pack. His objective now is to finish in the same time as whoever wins the race today. Put him high up overall. There's a lot of the climbers sitting at the back of the field. Here's that little gesture again here now. He's saying, where have you been? Haven't seen anything of you for the last 3.5 hours. He says, well, we're here now. A lot of the climbers who are nurturing visions of grandeur in the next couple of days in this race are all sitting near the back, noticeably. People like Richie Port, Neil Martin, men who we can expect to attack Bentecure, Team AGR, teammate indeed of Bouet. All good climbers. And in the three editions we've had of the Tour de Beijing, we've never had a mountaintop finish until this year, and it is the penultimate day of the race on Monday. Totally committed now, Olivier Kaisen. He's got no choice but to keep going. And Team Lotto Belisol stealing all of the publicity the hard way after the ride yesterday by Sander Cordeel. We're now seeing this by his teammate. Could even be a case of deja vu and see him wiped out at the 5 kilometre ban as we did yesterday. Not that we wish it on him, but the peloton are closing in quite rapidly now. Number 62 there, Mikel Athalosa, who retires from the sport at the end of the year, as does his team, unfortunately, Euskaltel Euskadi. Only a matter now of encouraging him to keep going. There's really not much more you can tell him. It's him versus the rest of the race, and they are coming quite quickly. Well, the mountains are ahead, but they won't be going over them today. We'll now swing around the bottom to race it towards the finish. "25 kilometers to go." And the time gap now just over 1 minute the spread. Garmin Sharp on the right there. They're looking after rider 81, who's actually the leading rider of all of those light blue jerseys. Neil Martin, he's waiting. Dan Martin rather. He's waiting for the big climbs to test his legs. He's had no reason to go up to the front of the peloton in these first 2 days of racing at the moment. Team all keeping a close eye on him. They do have a good sprinter in this team who is due a first big win in Steele von Hoff, an Australian rider which has been signed up by the Garmin Sharp, which is an American team. Kaizen continues on here. And his 30th birthday in April. And he's only won two professional races he's won, but he did have a very good performance in this race on his last visit 2 years ago, and he was 5th overall, 1 place behind Steve Cummings of the team BMC. So he's a very consistent bike rider, and one of his big stage wins came in the Tour of Turkey back in 2009. He was a member of the Silence Lotto team on that occasion. He's always been associated with the Lotto sponsorship in Belgium, which is taken on many different forms. Omega Pharma Lotto, Lotto Belisol, Silence Lotto, the Vitamin Lotto, all teams he's been part of over the years. And the boys in black are the British Sky team and showing absolutely no interest today. Yesterday they got themselves in amongst the front end in the sprint. And that was a very, very fast sprint yesterday. The motorcyclist afterwards was saying that they were following the riders in the sprint finish at just over 70 kilometers an hour. Little steady uphill this one at the moment. Running into the last 20 kilometers of the day. The gap is hovering and still yo-yoing a bit. And while it continues like this, Kaizen has no choice but to keep on just trying his luck and hoping that they turn off and lose concentration. But I see now down there that August Shimano has put one rider up in the action as well, in the white jersey on the front, to give Team BMC a break. BMC I don't think will work all of the time to try and keep Thor Hushovd in that red jersey, because they know the other sprinters have a lot to gain, and so they'll tempt them to come and do some chasing as well. And August Shimano has decided here it is time to keep the pressure on. For the moment at least, but it looks as though Gang Zhu has decided to drop back from there and leave the three riders here from BMC to pick up the pace again. No big effort on some of these top professionals' faces, but if you look at some of the other riders, they're under pressure just at the moment, and it looks as though the sprinters team of Alessandro Patacchi, Omega Pharma Quickstep, have now decided also to send one man into the fray. Now rush up the outside here. Well, these are the teammates of Olivier Kaizen up in the front, and there's three of them trying to move up. Sensing that the chase is picking up momentum, maybe they're going to come and try and play spoiler tactics if they can get to the front, because they're making the long run from the back of the peloton, but they're contacting the red boys in BMC, so they're right near the front here. Just come up on the shoulder there of Alessandro Patacchi, who had a very good sprint yesterday. And Team Sky moving up as well. And not surprisingly, coming up the team of Elia Viviani. Cannondale, and also the team of Orica Greenedge in those lighter yellowish colours down there. Blue jerseys belong to Team FDJ. They have a fine sprinter as well in Nansa Buani. Meanwhile, the lonely man up front knows the gap is coming down, and the legs are looking to me as though they're getting pretty tired. 76 seconds now. And he'll be happy if these roads keep changing direction. Out of sight, hopefully out of mind. Very shortly we'll be heading on to the riverbanks and heading down the river. Yanshin is the town where we finished today. It's a bicycle mecca, by the way. 300 kilometers of cycle paths and trails. But just take a look now at the length of this peloton. Riders now are racing at their maximum here. When they can't do it anymore, they simply move out of the way and let the others come through. Not much more than 40 seconds the gap here. They've still got the following cars in, so that's a good sign. Those cars will be told to move out when a gap comes down less than 40 seconds. Been an awfully long way out front, and not surprisingly, as yesterday with his teammates, the judges have already announced this man has won the vote for the most aggressive rider of the day, so he hasn't gone totally empty-handed today. De Gent will be the new leader in the King of the Mountains department. He's got 25 points there. All bar the last climb he won today, so he's done very well. 8 climbs tomorrow though, a lot more points at stake. At 15 kilometers to go. Hushoff's moved up the line of his own teammates for the moment. A little bit of an acceleration there from Verona of the Omega Pharma Quick Step team. Now this is the same corner where we've just seen the leader go around, so the gap is coming down quite quickly. 15 kilometers to go. 15 kilometers will take them about 21 minutes, maybe slightly less at these speeds. Lights in the background. I suspect that gap is closing quicker than we think. Greg Griffiths, the Australian referee out the car there, is on his radio because he wants to know where the peloton are, and I think he's getting ready to move these cars away from behind him. There they are. So he's going to have to take all those cars away and leave the void now as he talks to his driver. And basically the work being done all of the time by Team BMC. Again, they've laid it on the ground for Thor Hushoff, but once they come together, it'll be up to Hushoff to try and position himself, because yesterday he was sort of freelancing around the leaders because he had no teammates left on the run into the finish, and he was making the best of other wheels that were flying past him, and he judged the finish to the best perfection of them all. Cars are gone, and the peloton, again being brought up by BMC, are shutting him down. And this catch is coming at just on 8 kilometers from the finish. 3 kilometers earlier than his teammate yesterday. Well, that was a real tremendous effort. 188 kilometers in front of the riders. That's a lot of effort he's left on the road. He's got some prizes along the way, but that was a huge effort he's laid out today. Olivier Kaizen looks at all the riders. He won't be surprised by the formation at the front. They're the sprinters teams now. Hushoff's moved up into 4th place here, and I'm not sure that's such a wise decision so near the end. He's still got a little way to run, some 7.5 kilometers still to ride. He certainly won't want to hit the front till the last 200 meters. And the riders now know he's sprinting very, very well. As we start to follow the Guishi River now into the finishing line. Stay with us all the way. We're actually commentating from just on the side of the lake, fed by the river. Serious face now as the pace is lifted up to stop anybody finding any speed to attack here. 47, 48 kilometers an hour. Formation of teams now, and it's the team of Pataki, Omega Pharma Quick Stop in those light blue tops. They've got two different lines going here, and this is what Mark Cavendish, who's on the same team but not riding, always criticises. He says the team don't know which place to start riding, left or right, so they tend to ride both. And they're getting themselves organised now, though, in a one train. Bet your life Pataki will be the last man on them. 4 kilometres out. Very, very good approach this. Not the same dead straight finish like yesterday, where it's very difficult to judge the line from afar. This one comes off a sweeping left-hand bend, and there's the finish. A sharp left turn at the kilometre point. And the road wide enough for a number of trains here to organise their sprinters. And I was about to wonder where Orica Green Edge have gone, and that is Orica Green Edge now, pulling 4 or 5 riders to the front on the right of the road. Still got their hopes of Pataki on the line of Omega Pharma Quickstep. Orica themselves have got Michael Matthews. They almost got into the line yesterday, but they ran out of shells, and he was left in the wind and to lead out too early. He got washed away. 3 kilometres to go. That was just on a minute, that kilometre. August Shimano on the far side of the road now, as they're trying to bring Luka Mezgic, who's had a full season of finishing up in the first 3 but never in the first place this year, and a real sprinting talent. 25 years of age, speaks fluent English as well for the Slovenian. Now we've got the trains on the right of August Shimano. We've got BMC and Omega Pharma on the left. Katusha trying to involve themselves. The pink jersey, they're looking for Roberto Ferrara to pick up, and Elia Viviani wandering around there on the colours of Cannondale, the lime green. Not quite so well organised. Viviani hasn't shown like he has in past tours of Beijing yet. 2 kilometres to go now. And 1 kilometre on a sharp left-hander. Well, they seem a lot better organised for the finish this time, the sprinters teams. August Shimano have got themselves well organised with Mechik on the back of the line, keeping an eye out just about. He's got the green jersey on his shoulders. You can pick him out pretty easily, which is currently owned as well by the red jersey, Torhushoft. Could all change in the sprint finish today. August Shimano have lost 1 man, and they lost 2 men pretty quickly, and they've lost control of the front of the race too, because that's Luke Durbridge now gone through, the champion of Australia for Orica Green Edge. And they're trying to move in on the train of Orica Green Edge, August Shimano here. Mechich is still right there, 3rd or 4th behind the riders. No sign, interestingly enough, of Torhushoft in the red jersey. This is the left-hander under the kilometre. And you know, BMC that did so well have completely washed themselves out of this one and lost control. And again, is it Orica Green Edge now? It looks as though they might get something out of this. As they try to forge clear of the field, it looks like it's Cameron Meyer pushing on here. That's causing a diversion. It's causing the sprinters to open up the sprint a little bit before they wanted to. At 600 metres to go to the line now. And the charge by Frances Desjeux, and Dominique Roland is the rider on the front here, and the man tucked into his back wheel is Mansa Buani. Buani has won 9 times this year, and Buani's got the advantage. Ferrari's on his back wheel. As they see the finishing line now, Dominique Roland moves over, and Buani has gone for the line. And this could be win number 10 from here. Ferrari's trying to come on him, but Ferrari can't get by him. Ferrari goes across in second, and Nacer Bouhanni gets the win, and that is by far and away completion of his best ever season. That's win number 10 for him. The Frenchman, who was also won just before he came to Beijing in France in the Tour de Vendée. And he's got the win. Now, he's often accused of erratic sprinting, but that was a perfect sprint. Delivered dead straight and pure speed, and nobody could match him. And he owes a lot there to his teammate Dominique Rollin, who is a Canadian, by the way, French-Canadian. Just watch how he does this now. Rollin drops off. Ferrari must have thought it was Christmas. He was right there, right in his slipstream. But when he tried to come round him, he wasn't going anywhere. He had to go back in his slipstream here and wait. As he came up to the line, he made no impression. Mitchell Docker over the line in third place there from the Orica Green Edge squad. And there's 5 fingers on both hands, 10 wins for me this year. How about that? So, Française de Dieu, it's a French team, as champion of Finland, Veikkonen, congratulating Bouhanni. The 2 riders tailed off towards the end of the day, having done the work at the front, but Mečík not in the frame this time. The teammate of that rider finishing here. Losing a minute and 18 seconds. Let's have a look how it stands then. There's the stage victory going to Bouhanni, and he might well get the race lead. Ferrari in second, Docker is third. Matti Breschel crossing the line in 4th place.
Nasser, magnifique victoire aujourd'hui.
Oui, je suis très heureux de remporter la 2e étape en Chine.
Bravo, on vous a vu en tête aux 200 derniers mètres. C'était long. Est-ce que vous pensiez pouvoir garder la tête et gagner cette étape?
Oui, Dominique Rollin m'a super bien emmené dans le final. Donc je suis revenu de vitesse. Et c'est vrai que j'ai lancé le sprint de loin avant les 200 derniers mètres, de 230 mètres à peu près. Et j'étais à la corde et j'ai réussi à tenir. Donc voilà, je suis content.
L'équipe a bien travaillé aujourd'hui.
Ouais, on a super bien travaillé. On m'a protégé toute l'étape. Toute l'étape, j'étais bien protégé. J'étais remonté quand il fallait. Et Dominique Rollin, dans le final, s'est bien occupé de moi pour m'emmener à la victoire.
Bravo.
Merci.
Good day all round there for Bouhanni. As he said, Dominic Rollin was his man that brought him to the line, and as a result of that, Nacer Bouhanni is now the next leader here, the same time as Torhushoff, so it's on stage wins, and he wins the latest stage. He gets the red jersey now, but still only seconds covering the field. And the hills, I'm afraid, for the next couple of days only get harder. So he may not be able to hang on to this red jersey. But we'll find out tomorrow when we will have 8 climbs on the route tomorrow of a stage of just under 180 kilometers. Until then, see you all tomorrow.
Put your
Goodbye.
hands together for the red jersey, the leader of the Tour of Beijing from FDJ, Nacer Bouhanni.
Left on the clock.
Good.
That's how we like it. There's no way I can turn this mic off when I cough, is there? No. Does it really? Does this hide it a little bit? Like all that?